In the late 90s, the console gaming industry was dominated by Sony, Nintendo, and Sega. No one thought that another gladiator would enter the arena and become one of the two biggest console gaming of all time. This is the story of the Xbox. In 1999, Sony released its iconic console, the Sony PlayStation 2. It was so powerful and versatile. The PS2 was advertised by Sony as the new living room PC due to its cutting-edge technology. This statement woke up what would be the eternal rival of Sony, the Xbox. Microsoft was a big company, selling millions of Windows copies, not interested in other stuff until Sony PS2 release. Microsoft was threatened by Sony's statement about replacing the living room PC. Four peoples back then, working in the DirectX software development sensed the danger, so they tried to alert Bill Gates, and the best way was, in the Microsoft gathering so-called Semi-Amo Anuel, or the Think Week. They succeeded in their mission, and gathered other supporters of this idea. Now that the danger reached Bill Gates, he initiated a call for ideas. Only two teams responded, the DirectX software development team, and the Windows CE team. The Windows CE team was involved with building Windows for portable devices and the Sega console. The DirectX software development team was involved in developing softwares for PC gaming. They already had a presentation ready for the meeting with Bill Gates and the other team. The battle between the two teams started, under the supervision of Bill Gates. The young hungry DirectX team was pitching ideas about the new console such as hard drive storage, broadband internet in a console, and the old more experienced CE team was trying to make it more impossible to do. The first meeting was concluded, and the final stage was set. The young hungry DirectX team was too eager to persuade Bill Gates. They even built a console with a boot timer out of PC junks to visualize their idea to Bill. Based on Windows stripped out of all the unnecessary features, the console booted in less than 4 seconds. Back then Windows booted in 5 to 8 minutes, and to make it more realistic they put a Tomb Raider game disc. The game booted like butter. They won the battle and Bill Gates was astonished with the idea. He even asked them to boot the device several times. Now that Bill Gates is on board, they needed the validation of the second man in charge. Steve Ballmer was the next CEO of Microsoft, and they needed to convince him. A meeting was held to get the final validation. The mission wasn't easy, but the DirectX team had the heart and the guts to defend their project. They won the challenge, and another member was added to the team. But now that they are validated, what's next was the biggest obstacle they are going to face: how to build the Xbox. Preparing to unveil the Xbox at the 2000 GDC, they tried to reach out to OEM companies, which was a dead end. Then they tried Nintendo. Due to its massive game library, that was out of the question too. They believed that they needed to do it themselves. Now this mission would need more workforce. Other members joined the team, in the pursuit of their goal, so they started working on the operating system. Knowing that they wouldn't get it from the source, they decided to steal it. Working on the latest kernel version of Windows, they strip it, tuned it to be the most fastest version that Windows could take. Now they have to present this final cut to Bill and Steve. The meeting was ugly, the least we can say. Bill was outraged, angry about what they have done to Windows, but the idea of the enemy winning the battle was more influencing than what they did. So the meeting turned around. Bill and Steve approved the Xbox, with an initial funding of $1 billion. Less than a month to the 2000 GDC, the team started recruiting game developers and sketching a prototype. Microsoft already had a gaming PC library, but not what gamers would buy an Xbox for. They created 3 prototypes to show in the presentation. But when the day came to show the Xbox, neither of the prototypes worked. Bill was in the stage preparing the audience. In the backstage, the team was soldering and testing parts from the prototypes to create one functional. Finally on the stage they started showing the power of the Xbox, showing demos of physics and other stuff that amazed the audience, and made everybody so hyped about what's coming next. The name Xbox was only the project name. They started looking for a name, but what they were looking for was already decided. The Xbox was the name they're going to go by for their upcoming show. Their final design was ready for the 2001 CES. The Xbox was presented by Bill Gates and The Rock. Everyone was surprised and happy. Now that the name was fixed, and the final design was done, they started looking out for games. They got approached by a small game company, back then, trying to make their game in 3D, instead of the old 2D version. The idea will turn out to be the legendary Grand Theft Auto. They also purchased the game developing company Bungie, preparing for their 2001 game stock show, where they demonstrated a bunch of games such as Oddworld, Project Gotham Racing, Amped, and the final game was Halo, the game everyone was waiting for, so the game stock show was a success. The excitement was built around the upcoming console. The next show was the final trial before the launch date, and everyone was 100% confident to show the world what the Xbox was capable of. But the unthinkable happened. The Xbox didn't turn on, the stage was smashed, and to make the matter worse, the Halo game wasn't playable. It was like a PowerPoint presentation. The E3 was a disaster for the Xbox, and critics started falling like rain, but the team's stubbornness and spirit was on another level, and they started working on the bug fixes right away to make the Xbox ready for the launch day. The long-awaited day was finally here. All the problems were fixed. The Xbox was ready. The Times Square was the stage for the launch. The long queues of fans waiting to buy their first Xbox. It was a big party. Bill was playing Xbox games with the fans, and the first sold console was paid by Bill Gates for the first Xbox buyer. This was the start of the legendary console that would rival the Sony PlayStation for eternity.